Today, we're digging into Xbox's huge Game Pass price hike controversy. Is Microsoft just making money moves, or could this start off a full-blown boycott? Plus, Ghosts of Yotei reviews are in, and the scores might surprise you. And Fortnite steps into an emote controversy this week they did not see coming. Stick around for those stories and more. Welcome, friends, to Good Playing With You, your weekly gaming news roundup. I'm Dan Whitehill, and as always, I'm joined by my perpetual posse of Matts, Matt Lord.
Hey, how's it going?
And Matthew Molding.
Hey now.
Before we hit the headlines, one quick note. We're 170 subs away from our goal, so if you could hit the like and subscribe button, it would really be appreciated. Now, with that out of the way, let's jump into the headlines of the week. First up, we got to discuss Game Pass. That is completely insane. For those of you unaware, they had a huge price hike this week of 50% on Game Pass Ultimate, which is what I think most people use. Let me read the details to you guys, and then let's talk about this, because I'm really curious to see what you guys think. So Game Pass used to be called the best value in gaming, but those golden days are clearly over. Microsoft announced it raised the price of Game Pass Ultimate from $19.99 to $29.99 a month in the US, a massive 50% jump that adds $120 a year for subscribers. Not to forget that Microsoft last raised just 14 months ago, and Ultimate climbed then from $16.99 to $19.99. In contrast, the cheaper tiers are holding steady. Game Pass Essential, which was core, is staying at $9.99, while Game Pass Premium, which was standard, remains $14.99. That makes Ultimate the only tier with a jaw-dropping 50% price hike, and it's by far the steepest one the service has ever seen. So how is Microsoft justifying that $30 price tag? They're promising over 75 day one releases a year. They've also added Fortnite Crew, which normally costs $11.99 a month on its own, plus Ubisoft Classics and upgrades to Xbox Cloud Gaming for faster load times and better streaming quality. But gamers aren't buying the value pitch. Within hours, reports surfaced of the cancellation page crashing from so many users trying to unsubscribe from the service. On social media, reactions ranged from, quote, "I'm downgrading to the cheapest tier, $30 insane," to "canceled on the spot. These extras don't matter if the base price is robbery." Even GameStop got in on the trolling, tweeting, "Game Pass is $29.99 a month and you own nothing. GameStop, buy once, own forever." Whether Microsoft can hold this line or ends up walking it back, this is easily the most controversial move in Game Pass history. So, gentlemen, people, are they overreacting? Is this acceptable price, or did Microsoft just make Game Pass the worst value in gaming?
Man, I'm of two minds. I still think Game Pass is a great deal. Even at $30, it's a great deal. But that's nuts. That price increase is nuts. And I'm a huge Xbox fanboy. All of my stuff is through Xbox. I watch YouTube through Xbox. I watch my apps through Xbox. Everything is there. So for me to cancel it would be quite a blow to my normal everyday entertainment consumption. So I'm hesitant to cancel it. I really want to, because it's ridiculous. I don't know. To justify it, really, I would have to have a brand new first party game every month. I would need to have it that I want to play to justify that cost. And I just don't think that's going to happen. It makes me want to ask what's the end game here? Because they just raised all the prices on their Xbox consoles. Costco's no longer selling Xboxes. And now they raised this price. Are they trying to tank the company in preparation for it to just go away? I don't know. These choices baffle me.
I'm 100% with you, Molding. I think, geez, the outrage online over this price hike seriously was incredible. Reddit was truly aflame with just, cancellation talk. If I didn't let my Game Pass expire a few months ago, I hate to say it, but I think I would be on the cancel board as well. The reason being is I looked at some of the games that are coming out in October still, like the two that are sticking out to me would be Ninja Gaiden 4 and The Outer Worlds 2. And like the rest are all just sort of filler games that I would have no real intention of playing. So let me ask you this. If you did $9.99 version, would you be able to play those games day one, or is that
No.
those are
No,
excluded?
only
Yeah.
that top tier gets to play the brand new games day one.
Exactly.
That's wild to me.
Yeah.
So yeah, the tiers again, I still think just the tiers in general are way too confusing. I don't know. That goes for PlayStation as well. Just all of that stuff is so convoluted.
It's
And
purposefully done.
yeah,
though.
no,
It is purposeful.
yeah, poor parents out there. They can't catch a break with all these different tiers. So, I think I'm with you, Malding. The real situation that is going down is I think they're just trying to make a quick buck. They know the system is going away, which is just baffling to me. Like, please stay Xbox. But this to me it's all signs are pointing to that it's about to get shuttered up.
I agree. I think you guys are spot on. This price increase is ridiculous. And we just had a price increase. It's completely insane. Looking at the price you are about to pay for this, that is the cost of about 5 to 6 $70 games a year. I don't know that I actually buy that many $70 games a year. And yes, they say, okay, we're going to give you 75 day one releases. But when you look at the release calendar, these things are indie games you've never even heard of, or you're probably not even interested in. They've got a bunch of little small games and small releases, but where are the heavy hitters? Where are those 5 or 6 games that I would be paying? I don't see them on this service. And then let's talk about Ubisoft Plus Classic. That's the crappy one. Like, no one wants that. They want premium. They want Ubisoft Plus Premium, which has all the new stuff. What we're getting are a bunch of old Ubisoft games we've all played that are just kind of riddled with bugs that we're not interested in. So that's not interesting. And okay, I do play Fortnite. I will admit to
I
that.
thought of you when this came out. I'm like, oh, at least Dan's getting his Fortnite subscription in.
But the thing is, it's Fortnite Crew, which is bullshit. I don't care
I don't even
about
know what
Fortnite
that is.
Crew.
What is that?
Yeah,
That is the monthly subscription to Fortnite. So you get like 1,000 V-Bucks, and you get a couple crappy little emotes every new season and stuff like that. But no, who cares about that? I don't want that. That's like, don't charge me for stuff I'm clearly not going to be using. And they went way over that. It is so ridiculous. I canceled myself. I do have a few months stacked because luckily this morning Amazon hadn't raised the price yet, so you could still get 3 months for $20 a month. So I was like, oh, that was expensive before, but now that kind of sounds like a deal. So I stacked up on a few months, but I canceled my subscription because I think I'm going to have to call a wait and see situation here. I'm going to wait until my subscription runs out next year and then maybe go monthly, or maybe just, dip in when the big games come. But $30, what the fuck are they smoking? It's crazy.
it's crazy. Do we ever see, I mean, this is just so in your dreams, but do you ever see it dropping up in price back to a normal
No.
price, or is it just
drops.
No way. And funny that you should mention that, because I wanted to have one quick little article here just to throw out there and see what you thought. Not only are things bad, but GameSpot's Eddie Marcucci points out that it could get much worse. He writes, Game Pass ad tier could come next, expert says. With Xbox Game Pass Ultimate jumping to $30 a month, analysts warn Microsoft may not be done making changes. Nico Partners Daniel Ahmad says the company is banking on console players sticking with Game Pass despite the higher prices, while it pushes more games onto PS5, Switch 2, and PC. But with slowing console sales and weak PC uptake, he thinks Microsoft could experiment with cheaper options, including a cloud-only or an ad-supported tier to keep the service sustainable. Like, okay, both of these sound like crap to me, but would these be interesting to you at all?
no ad? No way. That would be like, that's crazy to me. Like, to even consider something like that, it's just that's like that would be out of the question in my mind. Like,
I don't know. I have to be realistic. I say that, like I said that about Amazon Prime. I was like, "Oh God, ads!" I still have my Amazon Prime, although mostly for the free shipping, not really for the service. So that's true. I mean, I watch a lot of stuff with ads only because it's cheaper. So maybe if they went down to like $19.99 for it, I would do it, or kept it at $19.99, I guess is what it's at now. I would do I maybe, I don't know, I'm such a glutton for punishment sometimes. One of the things that really infuriates me is the gaslighting about it, is that they're like, oh, you're getting all this benefit, we're actually doing this for you, you're getting all of this stuff, and we're just so happen to raise the price a little bit. That's what drives me nuts, is that, like, we're doing this for you bullshit. That
No.
is nuts.
With the ads, are they just gonna pop an ad on every like 5 minutes while you're gaming?
They
Is that
didn't. They said they didn't have the
they
models
didn't.
figured
Okay.
out yet, but they're just saying this is
Never would I
something
do
that could potentially be explored. It might be you watch a section of ads before you play, and you get in a certain amount of time. Like they haven't designed the model yet. They're just saying this could be the model that the other streamers have used for enshittification could most likely be adopted by Microsoft to become even more evil and rich down the line. And they're just kind of floating the idea and warning people now. So we'll see what happens.
No,
Yikes.
now that you put it that way, watching an ad before you start a Game Pass game, absolutely not. No, I would never do that. That's awful. No, no,
I
no, no.
agree.
What's interesting to me is that we've had conversations recently and people jumping up saying like, oh, Game Pass isn't sustainable. And then they sit there and say, oh, yes, we're making money hand over fist with Game Pass. And then they turn around and do something so anti-consumer, it's mind blowing. It does make me think of, they're trying to just like a fire sale, but in reverse. Like they're trying to make as much money as they can before everybody leaves them, and they shut the whole thing down. And I think that's the only explanation for what's going on here, is because they clearly can't think they're going to be growing the business by raising the prices like this so aggressively. It's insane.
Oh, I did hear an interesting theory though online. People were talking about how potentially they are raising the price because they're going to introduce Steam and other platforms to that, and you're going to need Game Pass to then have access to like a Steam or like a Epic launcher, so different launchers. I don't know how exactly that'll work, but maybe there's something there. Like
Well,
it's almost like an access granting sort of
then
price
that's
point.
fine, but don't raise your prices until you're doing that.
Yes.
Agreed. 100%, because you can't do it on theory because we don't know for sure.
My hope is that just so many people have canceled it that they're going to reverse it. That, like, they're going to do what Disney had to do with Jimmy Kimmel, is that so many people canceled Disney Plus that they're like, okay, we'll put them back on. And then that's my hope. So go cancel it.
If the page is crashing, oh my gosh, like there's
cancel
nothing.
Game Pass for sure. I agree with the Kimmel example. I think someone on Reddit, now these are loose numbers, was saying they need to have about 5 to 8 million cancellations though, because this price hike is so big. They need significant number of cancellations to really hurt them financially. And fingers crossed that people will cancel and either go month to month, try a lower tier, or just leave them all together. I think it's wild that they're saying to themselves, okay, like, hey, let's try $80 for a game. And then they got backlash and they're like, okay, we'll do $70 a game. And then they're like, all right, we're going to do $20 for Game Pass. And then when no one's looking, they're like, all right, $30 for Game Pass. And man, I'm like, you thought you could get away $10 more over here, but now you're going to try it over here. Man, they're trying everything they can. It's wild.
Yeah. But Ninja Gaiden 4 is not, in my opinion, it's not worth a $30 a month type of situation. Like it's just
it's not a good deal
there.
I think what I'm going to have to do this weekend is take an inventory of what games I play on Game Pass, what games are coming up on Game Pass, and judge for me like the value of that. And then that also means that if you cancel Game Pass, you don't have access to the online gaming, right? You won't be able to play with your friends, unless you bring it down to that first tier, because the first tier I think still has the online gaming. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna have to do an inventory and see if what's really worth it to me.
I know, but what you should do, and I hope a lot of our listeners do, is just cancel Game Pass. Maybe you stack some months, maybe you don't, maybe you have some months already. you just cancel it to make the statement, because a little survey box pops up when you cancel. Because I canceled today, and it was like, oh, why are you canceling? And I let them have it. Poor survey person that's going to read that answer. I really let them have it, and just wanting to speak my mind. And I think it's more about, look, if we go crawling back, that's completely fine. That it is what it is, and maybe we can find these things on a discount or something like that. But we have to make our voices heard now, and that's why the time to cancel Xbox Game Pass is now. We have to be heard.
I think you're right.
But the end result could just be Xbox shutting their doors.
Yeah, that's true.
I know, but they should make it cheaper on their way out, not more
They
expensive. It's sad, because it used to be such a good deal, and now I can't even justify it. But you know what a good deal is? Instant
tell.
Riot. Malden, can you tell our audience about it?
Yeah, absolutely. This week's episode is brought to you by our friends at Instant Riot. Instant Riot is the clothing brand for gamers, pop culture enthusiasts, and everyone in between. And they just so happen to be the official partner for Good Playing With You merch. Go to instantriot.com and enter First Riot for 10% off your first order. A big thank you to our friends over there.
All right, let's talk about some good games for once. Let's talk about Ghosts of Yotei. It's getting some good reviews, I hear. Tell us all about it, Malden.
Yeah, the highly anticipated PlayStation exclusive Ghost of Yotei released yesterday, and as of recording, it's sitting at 87 on both OpenCritic and Metacritic, so it looks like we have yet another banger on our hands. And here's what some of the critics had to say. Dalton Cooper at Game Rant gave it a perfect score, 100, writing, Ghost of Yotei beats Tsushima in every category, with better graphics, better music, better gameplay, and a better story, despite the occasional narrative lull. Ghost of Yotei is the kind of game that you can't stop playing, and when you're not playing it, you'll be thinking about when you can play it again. It's a masterful open world game and one of the best exclusives on PS5. Kyle Hilliard at Game Informer agrees, giving it a 93 and adding, working your way through lists in a video game can be incredibly satisfying. Ghost of Yotei understands this intimately and capitalizes on it by starting with protagonist Atsu literally writing out her hit list of the 6 men who took everything from her. It's a simple but incredibly satisfying setup, and that core idea, the joy of knowing your objectives and completing them, extends to every other element of Ghosts of Yotei. But it sounds like Chris Tapsell at Eurogamer does not agree, pulling down that average with a 60, saying Sucker Punch's sequel offers more great swordplay and heartfelt storytelling, but would be better served as a linear action game, freed of its poor side quests and dated open world. So, boys, what do you think? We gamers have been eating well here in the last half of 2025. So, is Ghost of Yotei on your list after hearing these scores, or is this revenge story best served cold and on sale?
Well, I have to say, one of those that really stood out to me is that 100 score, but then it says narrative lull. Like,
I thought the exact same thing. How do you get a 100 if you have a narrative lull?
You cannot have a narrative lull. That should not be in the same sentence from a 100 score. That is so blasphemous. It was that just like, I couldn't help but just be like, what? Because I thought the first game had a really cool story. Again, I think, Dan, we've gone over this. The first one was very fun, but I burnt myself out.
Me too.
In the first section, totally burnt myself out. It sounds like they're going for like a Kill Bill sort of, revenge story, very straightforward. Go out, kill the guys. It sounds fun. I don't know if I'm gonna. This isn't something that I'm still gonna pick up day one, because let's just be honest, I still need to complete the first one. I need to wrap it up because I put so much time into the like beginning and middle sections, so I need to wrap that one. But hey, this is something that, who knows, maybe I'll pick it up on sale.
Interesting, because what stood out for me was the 60 score. That one was crazy because the reviewer clearly said, well, the open world design is dated and this should be very linear game. And I'm like, whoa. That's a personal bias there, buddy. In no way is an open world game dated. So it clearly, that 61, I'm throwing that one out too. If you're throwing out the 100, I'm throwing out the 60. And this game, yeah, this game's
So it's a
gotta be somewhere.
93. It's the middle
Exactly,
one.
yeah, exactly. Look, unfortunately for me, I did kind of burn out on the first one too. I am super curious about this though, because the first one was so beautiful and so gorgeous. It was just so padded like an Ubisoft game with so many things to do. I will play this one. I will get around to it for sure. But I'm going to be honest with you. That Game Pass price hike has me so shook. I think I'm going to cancel. Like, I'm not going to buy anything. I'm going to cancel Game Pass, and then I'm just going to GameFly like that. So I will GameFly this, and that's essentially I've reverted back to my 20s, and I think that's how I'm going to do things. So I will play this, but it won't be a day one right away. It will be when it's in my GameFly queue and finally shows up.
That's a Sigma move.
Yeah, that's exactly what we neglected to say this. We have been proponents for the last few months of the comeback of game renting. And I think this Game Pass thing is just another nail in the coffin of buying games outright, and we should go back to renting them.
Yeah. And if Gamefly is listening out there, we need, we could use a sponsorship,
we're
absolutely.
Totally open sponsorships.
We can totally be bought. We're cheap. We're cheap.
Absolutely.
Like so,
bargain basement bargain prices or whatever the thing is. So yeah, I didn't play the first one, so everyone loved it so much, and this one looks gorgeous. It's right up my alley. I actually don't mind I don't mind a collectathon if there's interesting stuff to collect. I really don't like the collectathon that is Borderlands 4, so maybe I should temper that with some exceptions. I don't know. It's pretty. I love Kill Bill is probably one of my favorite movies. So if there's any vibe of Kill Bill, which it sounds like there is, this might be the game for me.
Yeah. Molding, here's why you will like it, because I'm sure it's similar to the one we played. One, it has smart combat. It's not like Assassin's Creed stupid, just mash. Like there was actual skill to the combat.
Like the Batman games? Like in that sort of...
No, not that good. Like not that whole duck
somewhere
thing.
in the middle of those two.
Yes. Exactly.
I agree.
There's some intelligence there.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is it stands above other open world games in the cinematic, like Kill Bill style battles where the camera comes in and like leaves and color, and it's very dramatic, cinematic. Sometimes there's like filters, sometimes they're not. It's just, and it's like, oh, these people are trying. These people, this is artistic. This is cool as shit. And when you see someone who's trying to elevate the medium of video games and they're just not phoning it in the way Ubisoft does, it's like, oh wow, okay, this is neat. So I think you'll appreciate it, but I also think that you will burn out on it eventually too.
You can play the whole game in black and white too, Molding, which is kind of cool.
I mean, I'm basically in black and white right now with my mole eyes, so it just fits right in.
I mean, the first one was so good. I don't know. I'm trying to decide like where there has been just so many good games. Like we've been so spoiled. Silent Hill F, Chronos. Gosh, and then there was like a million other games. Oh, and then we have Silk Song. My gosh, like we got so much. So I just don't know where this game, since it's such a behemoth, these things, like I don't know where it can fit in right now.
And then I gotta mention Final Fantasy Tactics, which is the game I'm choosing to play right now, which is incredible. Loving it so much. I'm so happy to be playing it, and I gotta finish it quickly because I also want to play Outer Worlds, which I think comes out in a couple weeks too. So,
wait, Molding, when did Tactics come out? I need a quick
on Tuesday. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, is that on Game Pass?
No,
sorry. Oh, okay.
But speaking of Game Pass, I got a game that, real quickly, now that we're all doing a little asides here.
Yeah.
I got a game that you guys got to check out on Game Pass, and it was a day one launch. I don't know if it was one of their 75, but it's called Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. Oh. So it is, I know, I said the same thing.
I hated the first one.
Okay, this is completely different. So you know Vampire Survivor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that was kind of basic. It had bad graphics. It was stupid. You just kind of look around, but everyone was, oh, this is the script.
It was a fun game.
Yep.
But this one is like a smart version of that. It's on Game Pass, so you can just download it. Mauling. It's like 3 gigs, and then you do run around with people trying to kill you and stuff like that, but you've got different objectives that you have to do for each level, and then you've got a big boss at the end. And I'm just telling you, it's a really small, cute game, and worth checking out too if you have some time.
All right, that's good to know. I love a good game tip.
Maybe I'll stream it with my super expensive now Game Pass streaming service.
Yeah, get it while you can before you cancel it and you're gone. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, one good thing is if you do cancel Game Pass, you will still be able to play Fortnite, because that you can play without Game Pass or with or without it. But this week, Fortnite had a little bit of a controversy. Malding, why don't you tell us about that one?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a little crazy. Tom Phillips at IGN is reporting on a pretty wild crossover moment, and fair warning, this does include some light spoilers for season 2 of Peacemaker, the TV show on HBO. In last week's episode, fans were shocked to learn that the show's alternate Earth 2 setting is actually Earth X, a fascist, Nazi-controlled world. Looking back, a lot of people now say that the show had been hinting at this all along, pointing at John Cena's opening credits dance. And some of those arm movements suddenly look like they could be read as swastika, and that's the same dance Fortnite used for its new Peaceful Hips emote. Epic Games responded quickly, and in a statement over the weekend, they said, quote, "We're disabling the Peaceful Hips emote in Fortnite as we inquire into our partner's creative intentions." What's striking is that Epic seems to have been caught off guard too, learning about the twist right alongside the audience. But here's the update. On Wednesday, Epic announced that they'd worked with Warner Brothers Games to confirm that there was never any intention to tie the emote to the show's darker storyline. To avoid confusion, the emote's choreography will be modified in next week's update, and players who want to keep it can keep it, or they can return it for a refund without using a ticket. So, boys, what do you think? Was this just an honest mistake that slipped through the cracks, or was something more nefarious afoot?
Oh gosh, what a great story. Like, I just love that that honestly has me like cracking up. Like Fortnite just getting like totally shocked about this, and they had no idea. They had to go back, work with WB, be like, that wasn't a swastika dance, was it now? And they're like, no, but they're still changing it, which is like,
Because it's clearly a swastika dance. It's clearly like, I mean, I feel bad for them, because this is what happens in big bloated corporations, where one executive makes a deal in business development with somebody else to license a skin,
Yep.
but their proper like QC isn't really done, and then this sort of thing. I know, this is how it happens, and I can see, oh, this is corporate bureaucracy at its finest, and it's unfortunate for Fortnite, because they clearly had no clue that it was a Nazi sort of thing, and they to their credit, they acknowledged it right away. I feel bad for them though. They had to like design this sort of thing, and they walked into this so blindly, and then to see this and have to change things as quick as they could, it's like, oh man, that's awkward.
I think you nailed it. This is just because corporations are so huge. It's one division not having any idea what another division is doing. So the gaming division of Warner Brothers has no idea what the production and the development side of Warner Brothers is doing. So they're like, oh yeah, he's doing a funny dance. Let's put this funny dance on there. Probably no one even watched the dance once it was done. I don't know that I'd be able to clock someone dancing like a swastika, but people obviously did and called it out and saying, oh, hey, that was what was happening. So good for everyone for acting quickly. That's the thing, is that everyone was like, yes, we did something wrong. Well, they didn't really acknowledge that they did anything wrong, but they were like, yes, something wrong happened and we fixed it, and let's move on.
have you seen the dance in the wild, Dan?
There's so many characters.
It does
in the
sound
game.
like something a bunch of chuds would do, right?
sure.
They're like, oh yeah, we're so
Totally.
cool. Blah, 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 blah. Let's go do it. Yeah.
like, I would think there's a lot of players out there spamming that until it gets patched. That's
I agree,
It's
but
what
the
probably the
hotness right
best-selling emote that they
Oh,
have.
I'm sure.
I know, probably. But right now, the hotness in the game is the Power Rangers because there's so many of them, and the Megazords on the level now. Also, Rocksteady and Bebop, and then some Ninja Turtles. So there's a lot going on in that store.
That
And
game, man. I don't know how you play it.
Yeah, at a
it's
max right
fun.
now.
It's fun, and soon I'm going to be part of the crew, getting my crew bucks every single week,
No,
thanks to
you
Oh,
Game
yeah.
canceled.
Pass.
What are you talking about?
But it doesn't run out until next
Oh,
year.
yeah,
See, I
that's true.
Oh,
stacked and
enjoy. Yeah, you
canceled.
stacked.
Okay, let's also talk about some other crazy bullshit happening in the video game industry, and that's Sony. They spouted off some real crazy at Tokyo Game Show, and I'm curious to see what you guys think about this one. Sony is claiming that the PlayStation 5 era is now its most financially successful generation ever, with 136 billion in revenue generated by its game and network services division since 2020. That figure overtakes the 107 billion earned in the PS4 era, and further up the chain, you'll see the PlayStation 3 at 71 billion, PlayStation 2 at 44 billion, and PlayStation 1 at 24 billion. During the keynote at the Tokyo Game Show, CEO Hideki Noshino framed this as proof that each successive PlayStation generation has out-earned the last. What's more, PS5 hardware continues to move. As of June 30th, 2025, Sony has shipped around 80 million consoles. But even with those strong numbers, they claim deserve some scrutiny. The 136 billion tally covers the entirety of Sony division that includes software sales, subscriptions, microtransactions, and ongoing revenue from the PS4 era as well. So they are clearly padding that PS5 stuff. Hardware sales have been solid, but PS5 still trails the PS4's lifetime unit sales, which tipped past 117 million. And oh, yes, don't forget, Sony has quietly raised the PS5 price in certain markets, including a $50 price bump in the US, citing economic pressures. So what's going on here, gentlemen? Are they trying to rub Microsoft's face in it, or are they just gloating at Tokyo Game Show? Like, why stack the numbers? And they weren't adjusted for inflation, by the way. Show off this slide and say that you're the best in the world. What's going on?
Well, that was my question: is if they were adjusted for inflation?
Oh.
Because if you're increasing the price by $100 each generation, of course you're gonna each generation is gonna sell better than the last. But there is absolutely no doubt that PlayStation is the winner of the last few
Agreed.
generations of consoles. There's no doubt here. So for me, this just sounds like they're trying to shore up their investors and say, "Hey, we're doing a great job. This is what's happening. We're going to keep rolling and we're going to keep winning." And that's what they're going to do, especially if Xbox fails and they're the only, well, them and Nintendo are the only consoles available. And then they'll be unshackled and watch those prices rise up even faster.
It's just when I hear these sort of gloating remarks out of Sony, and me as a PS5 owner, I just feel like I've been bamboozled. So when I'm like, this is the best, okay, you guys got the best selling console generation, but I'm over here wondering when this console is ever going to serve me in any sort of great capacity. The PS5 has been honestly one of the biggest letdowns. When I got
I
that console
agree.
during COVID, I was so excited. I thought this really was like the future of gaming or something. I expected it to be a lot more. And so when we hear this, I'm just like, does nobody else feel the same way that this has just been such a letdown generation out of Sony? And man, I don't know. It's just very strange. Like if it's selling that well, don't you think other people would be like, what's going on? Like, don't we need more from this machine?
I agree. I think this has definitely been their weakest and most disappointing generation so far. And I think they've earned as much as they have by nickeling and diming gamers and charging more for services than they have before. And then, speaking of bamboozled, you had an interesting article that shows exactly how they're making their money and and taking
Yes.
advantage of players.
Yep. So the new PS5 Slim model apparently has cheaper materials on top of a decreased SSD. This is from the gamer's Johnny Flores Jr. Just a few weeks after it was leaked that the PlayStation 5 Slim, the smaller form factor version of Sony's flagship console, would receive a new model that would cut the SSD size from 1 terabyte to 825 gigabytes without a meaningful price cut to help compensate. We now have our first real look at the insides of the new PS5, and the SSD isn't the only thing that's changed. As first spotted by Video Games Chronicle via a new video from YouTuber Austin Evans, the revised PlayStation 5 Slim, which is currently exclusive to the European market, which is a keynote, ditches the glossy finish that was a trademark of the console in favor of a cheaper matte finish. It's by no means a make or break type of situation, though, considering the SSD is smaller and the materials are undeniably cheaper. It's worth wondering, just outside of global market conditions, the console wasn't made cheaper like past consoles have been, including PlayStation's own PS3 Super Slim. So for me, this is an absolute deal breaker. If I was a European right now considering buying a PS5, I would totally hold off. But like, let's say you didn't have a PS5 right now, would this totally stop you from buying like a PS5 on the market? It's totally crazy.
I hate to say this, but to be honest with you, I welcome this in this economy with prices going crazy and all these increases. I'm like, okay, so they made the console cheaper and they're charging the same amount. I almost feel like I'm getting an okay deal. I'd rather have a little bit less SSD because look, I can buy SSD
Well,
online
and matte
super
finish,
cheap.
and matte finish.
I don't even look at my console. It just sits over in the thing and I never see it. So I don't care about that. I'd be happy that I wasn't getting charged more.
Yeah, that's true.
I agree with Dan on the look of the console. What I think they absolutely should do is cut those fucking fins off and save me $15 off the thing. That plus I can't even fit it in my entertainment center because it's so stupid looking. So that's what, just make it a box. That's kind of one of the reasons. Another reason why I kind of like Xbox is because it's just a box that I just slip right into my entertainment system. This thing, I have to have it sitting off to the side on a book so that it doesn't burn through the carpet. But yes, I don't care what it looks like. It could be the cheapest looking thing, as long as my price matches that cheap look. I don't care what it looks like.
It's funny about that. The matte, I just love harping about the matte. I actually don't mind the matte finish all that much. I think the PS4 Slim, that is just like the two little decks, that's like little square. I think that is a really, really sleek looking console. And that's what they should have done with the PS5, new form factor. Should have been like a square sort of PS4-ish type of look, because I do agree. I just think all around the PS5's is just an eyesore.
Oh, it's so ugly.
But I think this is crazy. I do think this is something that, they usually start these sort of tests in Europe, but it finds its way to the US. So I see this probably hitting over here relatively soon, maybe in the next, 90 days or so. Totally nuts, though. Still, you think this does go back to, them saying how successful they are. I mean, let's be real though, the console should be $50 cheaper at this point. Instead, it's just still the same $500 and it's just, man, they're
tariffs,
charging,
bro.
Yeah. I mean, it's nuts. I mean, you can, that's the thing. It's like they can say tariffs all they want, but I feel like deep down, we just know it's that corporate greed.
It's
right
a combo of both. I think
it is.
We've said it before. They use these tariffs in order to make more money. It's what all companies do, not just these console companies. It's what everyone does.
Well, while we're talking about companies and shitty game practices, we have to talk about the EA deal this week. It's crazy. Molding, why don't you tell us about this
one? To me, I actually think this is possibly the biggest story of the week, if not the month. And that is another massive shakeup in gaming. Electronic Arts is being sold in a $55 billion all-cash deal. EA, the publisher behind Madden, The Sims, Battlefield, and Apex Legends, will go private, bought out by Saudi Arabia's Public Investment Fund, plus private equity firms Silver Lake Partners and Affinity Partners. Partners, which is run by President Trump's son in law, Jared Kushner. In some jaw dropping corporate speak, EA chairman and CEO Andrew Wilson commented, quote, looking ahead, we will continue to push the boundaries of entertainment, sports, and technology, unlocking new opportunities. Together with our partners, we will create transformative experiences to inspire generations to come. I am more energized than ever about the future we are building. And of course he is, because he's getting a huge payday from this. Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia already owned around 10% of EA, and this move continues their push into gaming. This EA buyout is their largest acquisition yet, and it marks the biggest take private sale of a public company in gaming history. Jason Schreier, the prolific video game journalist at Bloomberg, noted on Blue Sky that, quote, a lot of people are understandably focused on the Saudi Arabia and Kushner part of this, but the far bigger immediate impact will come from the new private EA being on the hook for $20 billion in debt. That could mean mass layoffs, more aggressive monetization, and other big cost-cutting measures, end quote. So, boys, what do you think? With EA being under the control of a religiously conservative monarchy, do you foresee changes to some of the more liberal franchises like Dragon Age and Mass Effect? Or is this just business with a side of assassination?
Well, when I
Who
saw
wants to take
this,
it?
Yeah.
I mean, definitely a wild story, something that I did not expect. I mean, I gotta say, of course, I think there's going to be some serious layoff. We can expect those big layoffs happening here. I think that's going
Yeah.
to be, I think, the first step to this situation. I heard potentially like BioWare could be getting very impacted. I know you mentioned Dragon Age.
Mhm.
Gosh, when you
Or they
hear
could
a
be
fit,
sold. They could be spun off and sold. So
yeah,
maybe,
that could be.
you know.
That's the best case scenario, of course.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got this $55 billion all cash offer. It sounds like me trying to buy a house in 2020. I'm like, all cash off? Where the hell is this money coming from? This does not make any. That just goes to show how, man, that how deep these people's pockets are. But it's crazy because I know the Sims subreddit was just like up in flames knowing that Kushner is now owner of EA or part owner, whatever. Just a really just a complete, that is a completely like wild turn of events like nobody could have seen coming. So it's just like a, one of those things that just comes out of nowhere, totally shocker. And we'll just have to see kind of where things are gonna, land now.
I agree. I think you kind of nailed all of the different angles. It is extremely concerning knowing that they're going to take on 20 billion of debt. Now, the good part here is that
Yeah.
they don't have to be beholden to shareholders and Wall Street, but they do need to figure that out internally, how they're going to pay that off and how they're going to pay it off fast. And I think that comes, with some, of course, like you said, a lot of cost cutting. And I think we are going to see some impacts here. This company is probably going to buckle down and focus more on its core franchises like Madden and Football Club, the formerly FIFA. I think we're going to see more of the gotcha style mechanics and upgrades and loot boxes that those games kind of have, where they get fleeced for, current rosters and all that sort of stuff. And I think we're going to see those practices permeate the rest of their games until people start to push back a little bit more. And then it comes to the politics and the religious beliefs. And that's where it gets even crazier. So I think only time will tell where this is going to end up, but it's definitely scary.
Yeah, well, at least Dan and I definitely shit on Dragon Age, the Veilguard. It was a terrible game, and the quote woke stuff was very, very forced into it. At least it felt for me that it was. But I like the fact that it can be in there, and
Yeah.
with this, I don't think any of that stuff will be in there, because these people, yes, being beholden to shareholders is shitty, but it's not as shitty as being beholden to conservative religious monarchy, and that is
True.
what I think is going to be happening. So yeah, I think you nailed it, Dan, with the microtransactions and that sort of thing. I think we're going to see a lot more of it because they're going to try to have to make up that $20 billion. So we're going to see a lot of that. I just think it's really rotten. I just feel like it's a really rotten thing, and it sucks because I want a Mass Effect where I can play a dude that sleeps with a dude, and I don't necessarily know that that's going to be the case moving forward. Now, putting all that aside, it hasn't been approved yet, so it's not a done deal. This is just in the process of happening. It's not a totally approved, so we
But
don't know that
Kushner's
will for
involved.
sure happen. But
So it's
Kushner's
going through.
involved, so I have no doubt, that it would
Yeah.
go through.
Imagine
Yeah.
if they just like put out like nonstop bangers though. Could you imagine just like, oh,
Right?
just like, oh, this is the best thing that could have happened. Like, wow, that would
Yeah.
be a total twist. But also, I would like to say this to me also screams like data mine city. Like, I think they're going to get a lot of data out of this, and they're just going to have that sort of value working for them.
That's
Because I think that,
interesting.
yeah, like, you know, who knows? Maybe they slow down on making it, but they got, think about how much data they just got acquired from all the US customers could be super valuable to them. You never know.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. That's an interesting angle.
Yeah.
Yeah, you made
I
it
like
even
that.
scarier. Thanks, asshole.
Yeah,
Well, yeah,
thanks.
that isn't
Thanks
a
a
good.
lot.
That's not a good thing.
I'll never buy a Madden game again.
Yeah.
Never bought a
Yeah.
Madden game before.
Yeah. Oh, it's funny because it's true. All right, real quickly, I wanted to get your take on an interesting article I read that also came from the Tokyo Game Show, where they're interviewing Phil Spencer, and they asked him, you know, like, what games do gamers most commonly request for revival? And he said, you know, kind of off the cuff, like, oh, not that we have any plans to do these sorts of things, but he's like, there are 4 games that gamers ask for us to remake all the time, or make or spin-offs or anything like that. And he said one was Blue Dragon from the Xbox 360 era.
It's a great
2,
game.
yeah, 2 was Lost Odyssey, also.
Also
game.
great game. Yeah.
Yeah, also great. And then the other 2 were Crimson Skies and Mech Assault from the early 2000s. I don't know if you guys
the
remember those.
plain
Yeah,
game.
I don't remember Crimson.
So I
think
thought
for
that was
Xbox.
really interesting to hear, like, what was being requested. Now, coming from an interview from Tokyo Game Show, the Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon were no surprise. But the other 2, I was like, I haven't thought about those games. Well, since you released them. But okay, if that's what people are being requested. So just real quickly off the top of your mind, I want to know, if you had Phil's ear, what would you request?
Ghost
gosh.
Recon. I would love a Ghost Recon remaster. One of like Ghost Recon 3 for the 360 was such a fun multiplayer game. I don't think that game gets talked about nearly enough, but that's what really got me into the 360 era. I used to play with little LAN parties with my buddies on that game. It was such a blast. I would love some Ghost Recon in my life.
Good pick. Molding?
They probably wouldn't have control over it, but I'd love to see full orange box remaster with all of those games upgraded. I absolutely love Team Fortress, and I would play the shit out of that game again. And of course, the Half-Life games and Portal, all beautiful games. So they don't have control over those games, but I would say orange box.
All right, that's fair. I mean, I just kind of asked you off the cuff, so
But
it's
now
all
I'm like,
fair game.
how have they not remastered Jade Empire yet? Like, I feel like that's
That's
an
a good one.
easy game just to like. That one's so
Mm.
beloved, man. When I think of the OG Xbox, I feel like I picture that Jade Empire box art, and that was such a banger.
Good
Oh, I
point.
can totally picture that box art too, and I don't
Yeah.
think I ever played that game.
It was a
that's
great
why they
game.
never made a sequel,
I-
because no one did.
Yeah.
Lost Odyssey is a fantastic RPG.
Yes,
So that's such a great choice.
I agree.
Blue Dragon's also really good.
Yeah.
Those are good RPGs. So I mean, interesting. I just would never think that those would be in high demand like
Yeah.
that.
Right.
Yeah, interesting.
Well, one game that's always in perpetual high demand is Skyrim, and Lord, you have a good story about this one.
Yeah, just wanted to throw out a nice feel good. So, yeah, 90-year-old Skyrim grandma Shirley Curry announces the Elder Scrolls video retirement. This is from IGN's Tom Phillips. In a YouTube video published 2 days ago entitled My Goodbye to Skyrim, Curry said that her time trying to find more Elder Scrolls Skyrim content for her followers was finally over after a decade of uploads. This has come to this because I'll soon be 90 years old, Curry explained. Every time I come up with a new idea for how to play a story in Skyrim, I make 1 or 2 or 3 with a new character and then I'm bored again. So that's why I'm going to stop uploading anything to do with Skyrim. I'm tired. I'm not having any fun with it anymore, probably because of all the little kids on there, Curry continued, saying that she was no longer getting any feedback from her viewers in the same way that she used to. All she gets is, "Hi, Grandma. I love you, Grandma." And that isn't what I'm spending my time making and uploading videos for. I love that last part where she's just like, Grandma is just like a gamer,
Right?
Yeah. What a legend. She's just like, no, I'm here to like get feedback and improve and like be the top tier Skyrim grandma. And so, I mean, do you guys see yourselves gaming till you're 90? And if so, which games do you see yourself playing at,
We'll
all
be
these
doing
years
this
down the line?
podcast till we're 90. I'm telling
Yeah.
you.
I'm
So
here with
only
that.
a few more years. That's
We're
great.
about to,
Yeah.
seriously,
About to
we're
hit it.
about to, I know, we're about to hit 100 episodes, though. That's crazy.
We need to celebrate that.
I do love this story because I love the idea of a grandma like playing as an Argonian thief and like sneaking up behind someone and pickpocketing. Like I love that idea. But my gosh, Skyrim is top 3 games that I've ever played, and I can only play that game in spurts of like a couple weeks at a time over multiple years. I can't imagine making that game my singular stream and always posting videos. So more power to her. That is fantastic, and she deserves the rest, and I hope she finds another game that she loves just as much.
I do too.
I agree, and I hope in the meantime she's made bank off her YouTube channel.
I hope so.
All the streams and stuff like that. I mean, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
They also said that she is probably going to make an appearance in the next Elder Scrolls game. So she's like very renowned, very in the scene. So it's really cool.
Good story. Thank you for that. That pretty much wraps up everything we have for this week. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe. If you're listening to a podcast, please tell 170 friends. And on behalf of Matthew Moulding, Matt Lord, and myself, Dan Whitehill, thanks for joining us. And as always, good playing with you.
Good playing with you.
Good playing with you.